Welcome back to Ozarks Tonight. Well, it's hard to believe as we take the turn into 2020. It is time yet again for another tax season here in the Ozarks. And for the first time in a few decades, there's some major changes coming to the Form W-4 here in the new year. So joining us today is Alice Jacobson with American Payroll Association, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about these changes that are coming to the Form W-4. Alice, thanks for being with us tonight. So what are the major changes here that people need to be looking for?
Well, there's two major changes that people should pay attention to. One is the elimination of allowances in favor of actual dollars. And the second is accounting for your entire household instead of just the individual employee.
So what is the most important thing for employees to know when they fill out their form going to this whole process?
Well, the most important issue is making sure that you're accounting for all of your income so that your withholding is done properly. So that's the best thing to do. Even if you don't fill out a W-4, a new form, it's in the employee's interest to go through the process to make sure their withholding is accurate.
And they do not have to make changes to their W-4, is that correct?
That's correct. This time around, Congress did not put language in the new law for requiring every employee to fill out a new form. So the employees that must do that are employees who were hired in 2020, and those employees that want to make changes to the form. They can't use an old form, they must use the new one.
All right, very good. Now, why were all these changes made? It was the first time in a long time these changes have been made to the Form W-4. Why in 2020? Why now?
Well, when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed in December 2017, Congress changed a lot of the requirements for withholdings and income taxes. So that's the need for the new form. But from December to January into 2018 was not enough time to make the software changes to get a new form done. And then we ran out of time working with the IRS and Treasury Department on the new form in 2019. So now we're at 2020 and we finally were able to get the new form out.
For sure, here we are now. Now, have you talked to people filling out their taxes already this year? And if so, what are some of their major questions they've had regarding these changes that you've heard?
Well, mostly there's confusion over the elimination of the allowance system, because that's something that people have gotten used to over the last probably about 30 years. And so getting used to the idea of using dollar amounts for, say, things like claiming dependents, children, that sort of thing is the most confusing aspect of it.
For sure. And now with these changes being made, would you suggest, a lot of people wait until the last second to worry about their taxes. Would you suggest maybe people maybe look at these changes a little earlier than waiting until April this year to get it all done?
Well, you've hit that right on the mark, because the sooner in the year that you check your taxes, the better off you are to make adjustments. Because if you do, coming to December at the end of the year is pretty late to do that. So you really want to start it early. The IRS is referring to it as a paycheck checkup, where you go through the process of identifying your withholding and inform your employer accordingly as early as you can.
Now, I hate to admit it, I have been one of the people that have waited till the last second from time to time. So this year, I'm definitely going to heed your warning. I'm definitely going to start a little bit earlier, maybe February or March, to get it all done. Now, Alice, before we let you go, what are some extra resources that people can go visit, get informed before they start filling out their taxes this year?
Sure. The easiest thing to do is to go onto the IRS's website at irs.gov and to check out the withholding estimator. That estimator takes people through a step-by-step process of figuring out their withholding, and they can then, it tells them where on the W-4 form to put that information, which is really a helpful tool. So that's the best approach. There are tables and other ways of doing this manually, but clearly, if you have a computer, you can go through that process and it will calculate it for you.
All right, Alice, before we let you go, what's the #1 most important takeaway people should have about these new form changes?
They need to check on their taxes. They may be in a new tax bracket or their situation may change, and they need to make sure they're not going to get hit with penalties for underwithholding.
Yeah, nobody wants that to happen for sure. Nobody wants surprises when it comes to taxes. Alice Jacobson with the American Payroll Association. So thanks so much for being here with us and explaining the changes that are coming to the Form W-4 this year. Thanks for coming on the program. We've enjoyed having you.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
We'll be back with more Ozarks Tonight right after this.